Hello, my name is John Bronskill and I work at Microsoft Research Cambridge. And this morning I'm going to show you Microsoft Azure Machine Learning, which is a brand new service that Microsoft launched in preview form this summer. And I'm going to walk you through a quick demonstration of how it can classify things. And in particular, we're going to look at a data set that is composed of irises, a type of flower, and we're going to learn how to differentiate one type of flower from another in an automatic way. So let's start right in. So this here is Microsoft Azure Machine Learning, and the first thing I'm going to do is load my iris data set, and I'm going to drag that onto the canvas here. And the next thing we're going to do is sort of look at that data set, and we can hit visualize. And what this is a summary of what's in this file. In particular, each row is an instance of a type of iris. There's iris type 1, and it has certain characteristics, petal lengths and sepal lengths and widths. And the idea is to use these features of the flower to differentiate between one type or the other. Each row in this file is, as I say, is a different type of flower. Here's type 0 and its characteristics. And the idea is we have 100 examples in this file, and we're going to learn from this data to distinguish between one type of flower and another. So the next thing what we're going to do is split this data set. So we will go to Data Transformation and choose our Split module. And we're going to split this data set into two. And the reason we do this is we want to learn from half of the data to distinguish between one type of iris and the other, and then save the other half to test to see whether we learned that correctly. The next thing we want to do is do some machine learning. And so we're going to choose the two-class Bayes point machine module. This is technology developed here at Microsoft Research Cambridge using Bayesian inference that allows to classify one group of things versus another. The next thing that we will do here is get a training module, and we will connect the Bayes point machine to the input of that trainer, and we will take our training data and connect that in. And notice there's a little red bang there that says I need to provide some data, and I have to tell it which column in our data set had the label of flower type 0 versus 1. And so I know that that was the first column, so I'll go to column indices and type 1. And there we go. The next thing that we will want to do in this is to evaluate how well we did. So we will evaluate the module, and the other thing that we will need to do here is to so-called score or test the module. And so I will put in a score thing, and I will take the output of the training and hook it up to the score module, and I will take the other half of the data that I split from the flower data set to kind of test. So here we're training, and here we're sort of testing. We're training on the first half of the data, and we're testing on the second half of the data to see how we did. And then finally, as I say, we can evaluate that by taking the output of the score module and doing some evaluation. So I've hooked everything up for this experiment now, and I'm going to hit run, and I'm going to tell you a little bit how this service works. You just log in through your browser, no software to install. This runs in the cloud, runs on Azure. It's doing the computations, and the little check marks indicate that we are done. And so we can look at how we did on the test. So we can visualize that, and basically what we have here is, again, the original label that of its type 0 iris and its characteristics, and this column here is the scored one. This is what I said it would be, which is right, and the probability that it is actually of type 1 is very low, so it's probably of type 0. Similarly, here's an iris of type 1. We guessed that correctly, and we sort of said with probability 0.94 that it's this type of iris. So we have very sort of good confidence one way or the other. And we can sort of look down our list that way and see how we did. And then there's this evaluate module here which summarizes everything. So there's a bunch of statistics here, true positives, false negatives, false positives, true negatives. And so of the things that were flower type 1, we got 29 of them correct. And of the ones that were not flower type 1, we got 20 of them correct. We labeled one that was type 0 that was actually not type 0, and we didn't label any that were type 1 wrong. So anyway, we had quite good accuracy there, 0.98%, and that's sort of very, very good results. And so obviously we showed this with a fairly simple data set of flowers, but this is often used to classify all kinds of things for whether certain cells are cancerous or not cancerous, and all kinds of other things. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this sort of short look into Azure machine learning. Thanks.